Welcome to part 3 of our broadcast. We have been dealing with the topic, what is business? And we are exploring the business system. If you have not followed us in this team, I would advise you to go back to download from our site www.businessdiligence.ng so that you can follow the drift of this wonderful and amazing team. We have looked at part 1 and we have looked at part 2. By way of information, I just want to let you know that all of our messages are free. You can get them from our site, and we have prepared them in 3 formats. First of all, we serve them as text messages. Then we also serve them as PDF. We also serve them in audio formats. When you go to our site, all you just need to do is to look at the topics that interest you and download them into your system. Then you read or you listen to them very quietly. In this title, in this edition, we want to look at part 3 of the title, What is Business? Looking at the business system. In this third and eventually the fourth part, we want to highlight 2 experiences in the Bible. In part 3, we will highlight the first experience. Then in the final part of part 4, we will x-ray the final part. We will highlight 2 experiences in the Bible to explain what a business system is all about. First, let's examine Joseph's interaction with Pharaoh when the latter summoned him hurriedly from the prison. Pharaoh had just encountered 2 worrisome dreams, and he narrated both dreams to Joseph. Joseph spent some time to interpret the meaning of both dreams as pointing to the same theme. Thereafter, he suggested an amazing strategic plan to help solve the impending global famine. Joseph emphasized that for the plan to work, there need to be a system put in place. Joseph knew that he could only guarantee the success of his plan only if a sound business system is set up. Joseph explained that the system involved 4 pillars that need to be established, and these 4 pillars are as follows. The first pillar that Joseph suggested is vision. And we are looking entirely all of these 4 pillars from the book of Genesis chapter 41. Now, if you look at the book of Genesis chapter 41 verse 25, Joseph said to Pharaoh, God had showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. God had showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. That's where we find the first pillar, vision. The second pillar that Joseph suggested is administration. Administration. We see that in Genesis chapter 41, verse 33 to 34. Now therefore, let Pharaoh look at a man, discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land. The third pillar that Joseph suggested is production. And you can find production in Genesis chapter 41 from verse 35 through 36. Joseph said, and let them, the managers, gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities, and that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine. The last pillar that Joseph suggested is marketing. I will find that in Genesis chapter 41 from verse 56 through 57. And the famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine was sore in the land of Egypt, and all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands. God gave Pharaoh an idea of what he planned to do in the future. Joseph's expertise was needed to analyze and interpret the vision. If the first 7 years of prosperity was to be maximized, an organization must be set up under a business system. This system comprises of 3 other fundamental pillars or components. First, Joseph asked Pharaoh to set up an administrative structure and appoint a leader that possessed certain unique qualifications to administer the food program at national level. The leader in turn will appoint uniquely qualified managers to superintend over a national network of stores to store up grains for the stipulated period of time. Finally, after the expiration of the 7 years of prosperity, the 7 years of famine began. And at this point, we see the 4th pillar come to fore, which is marketing. Joseph opened up the stores and began to sell goods and began to sell seeds to the inhabitants of Egypt. However, the marketing outreach of Joseph's system soon spread beyond Egypt to other nations. That was how his father, who at this point in time lived in Canaan, got wind of the availability of corn in Egypt. We are told in the next chapter, chapter 42 of Genesis, in verse 2, and he, Jacob, said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. The great success story of the company that stored up grains for both inhabitants of Egypt and other nations during this severe famine came about because of the 4 pillars of business system. The business system is an art. This presupposes that it can be learned. We have come to the end of this part. That is part 3 of this wonderful theme. In the last part, we will be examining the second part of these 2 experiences that we have just served you. I believe you will look forward to the second part. That is, the second part will be explained. Till then, stay blessed. I hope you have been blessed by this broadcast. You can get additional messages like this at our website www.businessdiligenceng.com. That is www.businessdiligenceng.com. In case you have any questions, or if there's any way we could be of help, please call me on our helplines 234-8149-958700. That is 234-8149-958700. You can also call me on 234-802445-2480. That is 234-802445-2480. Above all, we implore you to subscribe to our channel by clicking the link below and subscribing. When you do, you avail yourself of first-hand, powerful videos, instructional videos, tutorials, and live videos of investment and business teachings that we'll be bringing your way from time to time. Till another broadcast, stay blessed.